That was a lighter.
All right. And here we are. Back I am. I've been back so much here in September. This is The Bad Filipino, and I'm your host, Myki Angeline. And today, as we end the week, because it's Friday, and I've got an incredible guest I'm so honored to have in the studio, Stephanie Gayle. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor.
Oh, thank you, thank you. So, because I'm here on the West Coast and it's 2 o'clock, and you're on the East Coast and it's 5.
Yes.
So it's 5 o'clock somewhere. It happens to be 5 o'clock where you are. So before we get started, why don't you give the audience a little bit about who you are and what you do, especially in the music industry?
Well, okay. My name is Stephanie Gayle. I'm a queer artist, LGBTQ artist. I specialize particularly in R&B. Born in Montgomery County, Maryland, raised in PG County, Maryland, and now I reside in Brooklyn, New York. I've worked with acts like Substantial, Tone Deaf, Cunning Linguist, Marcus D, and many other pretty notable independent artists. So
nice. And R&B, and believe you me, your vocals are incredible. Like when I made that little promo and I pulled in your video for the song Vulnerable, and I just, the moment that first line, you just blow me away, because I just don't expect such beautiful, like I guess I thought something a little more, what am I thinking of? Like it just was a lot lighter in the subject matter, even though it was vulnerable. Yeah.
yeah.
It was just spot on with that. So then what inspired that song, by the way? Is that your latest release, Vulnerable, or did you have another song that came out?
Well, that came out with my debut LP, Songs About V. I've come out with albums before, but I came out with songs under my former name, Steph the Sapphic Songstress.
Okay.
But I changed my name because I'm growing, I'm more mature, and my music's more mature. So, but that came out with that debut LP. I released the video in January of this year, with director Eric Ramos at the helm. And when I wrote the song, I wrote it a few years back, maybe I want to say 2000, maybe 16, 17.
Oh, okay. It's a little bit back, yeah.
Maybe not actually further than that. No, it was
okay.
Definitely like 2012 or 13. But I was in the midst of, when I wrote the song, I was deeply depressed. The album is about a love affair I had with someone, and it didn't end very well. And I went through my trials and went through a really deep battle with depression for over a year. So I wrote that song while I was in the midst of it. It was a way for me to kind of deal with the pain and the feelings that I had for that person. And, it was cathartic for me writing it. So I figured when I wrote the song, like I know I'm going to get through this, but I think I have to write it from a perspective of, someone who's in the middle of this, so people can really understand what it's like to be, depressed and, dealing with so many emotions and dealing with what's going on around you as well. So.
Yeah, it is a very vulnerable song. And it is rather deep. So a two-part question then on that.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe not even a two-part. I think you answered one part. What made you wait so long to want to release it?
When I was going through the process of creating the album, I came up with the concept in early 2012. And when I initially came out with the idea of making the album, it had a different trajectory. When I came up with the idea, I was very much in love with the person, and we were in a really good place. And then at some point, it just went south very quickly. And so I had to go through the emotions of just dealing with that kind of trauma. And I was just playing with different ideas at the time. So it went from a very happy concept to like, I can't stand this person. I hate this person. This person made me sad. I went through so many different spectrums of emotions, and I kind of gave myself a little moment to kind of step back and look at the situation in hindsight, because I think being fully in the emotions wasn't going to give me the end goal that I was looking for. So I think I had to, once I really immersed myself into the album, I had to look at it from a logical perspective. Like, let's tell a story that it was, happy at this point. Let's take the listeners through a journey. Me being happy, going through this low point at this part of the album, and then leveling out and taking lessons from going through that journey. So I think that's why it took so long for the album to come to completion.
It was quite the process, it sounds like, especially emotionally for you.
Yes.
Yeah. And do you find, would you say that when you're creating a lot of your songs, or even writing with all of your songs, they will come from somewhere deeply personal? Or are there times when you just get kind of amused just to create from something other than a painful personal experience?
I mean, when I write songs, they're not, I don't believe all my songs necessarily come from pain. I think it's good when it does come from pain, because you have a moment to I don't know, reflect on what you went through, and you have a chance to really sit down and process your emotions and really break them down, and you learn so much more about yourself when you do break down and process that pain. I find there's a song that I wrote recently that was about my last breakup from my holiday album.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard it. That's My Only Wish.
No, but I know I need to.
Yeah, it has a blues feel to it.
Okay. It's called My Only Wish?
Yeah, My Only Wish. Yep.
I'm going to have to pull that up.
Yeah, and I wrote it, in kind of in the style of, I was just thinking about Christmas songs that were blues songs, because that's kind of what I grew up on. I grew up on different types of holiday songs, but I wanted to do kind of like my homage and ode to the blues holiday records
Okay.
that my mother used to play. My mom loves the blues. And so I did my own version of it, and it was the perfect time to do it. I was like, I'm going through a breakup, so let's just
get this out.
Yeah.
Because it's therapeutic, isn't it? Writing
Yes.
music, performing it, getting it out. I mean, because I don't write. The most of the performing I've ever done is karaoke, but I tell you, that helps.
Yes.
Because I can find a song that I resonate with and just sing the crap out of it, whether I'm
Right.
happy or sad or even angry. And you just get it out, and it just feels so good.
Yes. It does.
So
I do
then, okay,
karaoke a lot.
you see, then you get it. Absolutely. And man, I tell you, I miss going to the bars and doing the karaoke. That is one thing with this whole COVID, and we'll get into that in a second with how that has affected you. But man, I do miss doing that. In fact, I took that so for granted because it was at so many bars 7 nights a week, and now none. And I'm just like, So then this latest album, you said it's titled V.
The debut LP is called Songs About V.
Okay.
That was released in February of 2019.
Okay.
And then in December, I released an EP for the holidays called Christmas at 7222 Volume 1. So that has 5 tracks.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I had a very busy 2019.
Yeah, you did. So, it's interesting you bring up the whole holiday albums because I've seen a couple of articles where people are encouraging artists to reinvent Christmas songs or holiday songs because of how this year has gone.
Yeah.
Because we're heading into October. We're heading into, it's going to be less, it's like, it'll be 2.5 months, almost 3 months till Christmas, 1.5 months till Thanksgiving for, everyone who's, and we don't even know where we're going to be with that. And so artists creating music for that time, like how would that be different? Have you thought of that? Like doing something, because you just released one.
Yeah. I'm working on Volume 2.
Okay.
I'm going to release that by at least late November, early December.
Okay. Have any of those songs reflected at all with what's happened with the quarantine and the shutdown?
Yes, I've actually, I'm actually working on a couple of songs, and one song I actually want to dedicate to my cousin, Alfred Michael Martin, who passed away in March.
Sorry to hear
from
that.
COVID-19. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah. We were really close, and fortunately I was able to see him exactly 3 weeks prior to his passing. And it was a big surprise when it happened. My mother called me and gave me the news, and he doesn't live that far from me. He lived maybe 25 minutes away from me.
Okay.
In Brooklyn. And,
wow.
Like I said, I was thankful that I was able to spend one last time with him. And it was a great time. We went out to dinner. We were celebrating my birthday, and he does what he always used to do. Like he would buy me all this stuff. Like, here, have some wine. Here, have some plum wine. Here, have all this food. Like, he was awesome.
Okay, so then you saw him, and then 3 weeks later he passes away. Did he seem sick at all when you saw him?
At the time,
was it that quick?
It was very quick. Wow. Very quick. When we went out, he was perfectly fine. He had, his usual zeal for life. He was talking about his plans for the future, and coming up with all these ideas and sharing them with us. And he was fine. And then I called him maybe a week later just to check up on him to see how he was doing. And he was telling me, "Oh, I have all these symptoms. I've been, I've had the chills, for the last couple of days, and I've had this really terrible cough." And he was like, "I drank some wine and that helped some, but, I'm still like, I have this terrible headache and I've been sweating." He had all of the symptoms.
Oh man.
And as soon as I heard that, I was like, "Cousin, you have to get to a hospital like right away." I was like, "Get off this phone, go to a hospital."
Yeah.
Right. And he was just like, "No, men."
So he even put it off thinking it would pass because he just didn't. Because if this is March, that's like right at the beginning. None of us really, as a whole, as a country, didn't see it as serious until probably end of March, beginning of April.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So he's just thinking it's probably like an early onset of the flu, or it's something that he didn't think was so. Oh man, that's so hard. So then I'm assuming, because you mentioned, have you been tested since? I mean, since you were with him, like right before, or?
I didn't get tested then. Like you said, it was very new. Yeah. I knew when he mentioned the symptoms because I took it seriously from the start.
Yeah.
I had done a 3-city tour right before everything began to shut down. So I had gone to DC, Philadelphia, and I had come back to Brooklyn to do some shows with my mentor Substantial and Shingo too, who lives in Hawaii.
Oh, nice.
But
I miss Hawaii.
yeah, he resides there now. But I did a tour with those guys, and at every stop we went to, we were the last show to perform.
Okay.
After that, everything shut down. So I didn't get tested, but I was taking the precautions. On the tour, I had surgical masks, I had gloves, I had hand sanitizer, everything. So I took it very seriously from the start. So when he told me about his symptoms, I was like, this is not the flu. I was like, this is that novel coronavirus.
Yeah, you need to go.
Yeah. I was like, you really need to get checked. And it took him a while to actually get up and go to the hospital. And then when the ambulance finally came to pick him up, they wanted to take him to an area hospital, and he was like, nope, I don't want to go there. I want to go to this particular hospital. But I don't know what happened from there. And then a couple of days later, he was gone.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
That's a hard one. Especially like we mentioned off camera before we got in about, you being on the East Coast and being in New York. I mean, New York was hit so hard in the very beginning for the longest time. How is the city in your area? How is it doing now? I mean, have things opened up?
Things have opened up. I've gone out, I've gone to restaurants, they have outdoor
outdoor seating?
Yeah, and they're going to open indoor dining at the end of the month.
Okay.
So, but it's only going to be at a 25% capacity.
Yeah, that's all the spacing out, which I guess isn't entirely too bad because then you get your privacy. But then again, New York operates totally different than or East Coast than West Coast. So, I was having that discussion with someone before about how the hustle and bustle between the difference between when you're in a hurry and the time taken for customer services is different on the East Coast than it is here on the West Coast, but yeah, totally different. So then now as an artist, you mentioned how you did a couple of a little small tour before everything shut down.
Yes.
Especially for you being queer, being Black, being identifying right now, I guess, female. You mentioned you're kind of on this transition journey.
Yes.
As far as how you identify, but how has that affected you as an artist? Not being able to do in person, were you able to adapt with the on-screen, the Zooming and the Facebook? Did it affect your writing inspiration?
I think once, I'm an essential worker too. So I was still working.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But at a certain point, in April, they cut down our schedule. So I was only working 1 day a week, and yeah, but don't worry, I was still getting paid. So I'm a government worker. So
oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. Oh my gosh.
No, it was great. But yeah, once I had 1 day a week, I was like, oh, let's get to work. So I was working on, creatively, I wasn't doing as much, but as far as doing research and working on the business end and, updating my website and doing little things.
Like cleaning up, spring cleaning.
Yes.
Yeah.
With my merch, revamping my merch shop and, just learning new tricks of the trade. And that amped up for me. I had the time to actually sit down and study because, before I would just get on the train, on the way to work, and I would listen to podcasts or, study and, look on my phone and do research that way, look at videos.
Trying to find that time in between work and everything, correct? And then performing and all that. Whereas all of a sudden your schedule just cleared up.
Yes.
And then you just found different things to fill it with, it sounds like. That you probably hadn't been on the back burner for a minute and you're like, oh no, I can take care of this now.
Yes, exactly.
That's good. That's good mentality. So then as just a person in general, what habit has changed for you since the shutdown, especially in that time frame where you were down to 1 day a week, and it sounds like you probably were home mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Did anything like a habit change or a new habit form? Because for me, it has, as far as I stopped setting alarms to wake up and go to bed. I found myself binging I did the whole binging documentaries and learning everything that I could. Because I was a Lyft driver along with working online, right, in music.
wow.
And then so my supplement was Lyft driving. And when that shut down, because I was doing it in San Francisco, and San Francisco said, nope, done. And then even here in Sacramento, it was really slowing down. And then I got to where I didn't want to risk it anymore because I just didn't want to end up being with a passenger who might fight me on wanting to wear a mask, because in
Right.
Sacramento, this is a problem.
Right.
There are people that don't believe they should be wearing one. And there are people that are fighting verbally, physically. And I just didn't want to get into that.
Right.
So, I found myself trying to remember to get out of my pajamas and, oh, wait, it's already 1. I haven't eaten yet. Like, for me. So has anything changed for you, like in the beginning of it?
I think I don't know. I started waking up earlier because usually I wake up maybe around 9:30, 10 o'clock because of my schedule at work. I work late hours. So I was waking up earlier. I was waking up at like 6 or 7 o'clock, and like as soon as I would get up,
Oh my.
I would start working on my my different projects. Particularly, I was taking courses on business because I wanted to strengthen that area of my career. Artists sometimes have struggled with the business end of their their band, their brand, and their I guess what do you say,
Oh yeah.
company.
Yeah. Trying to market your music and basically it's your brand.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I wanted to strengthen that area of my brand, the online marketing side, and I wanted to get into more of the technical aspects of it, and so I started taking courses. I just started researching more and putting a schedule. I would use my Google Calendar more and like schedule time to do those things. Exercise, and then get into have a moment for creativity, and that has changed more. I think I manage my time a little better. I usually
Oh,
start.
see, you went the better way. Me, I went the not way. Not at least until I kicked up my podcast. By the way, I don't know if you noticed Troy Hilliard saying hello.
Yes. Oh, that's my brother.
Yo, yo, yo,
Hey,
yo.
big
Welcome in,
bro.
Troy.
What's going on?
Yep. So yeah, I got the chat room going. So anytime anyone pops in, I'll pop it up there for you. Yeah. So then it sounds like you did you just stayed real diligent and consistent and saw where you could improve
Yes.
and applied that. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So then I take it didn't depress you or scare
Um,
you.
I,
Or
I
if
had
it did,
well,
you didn't let it show.
yeah, exactly. I'm an introvert anyway. Like I can socialize with people. I guess what I would be considered an extroverted introvert. So I have moments where I can be personable and socialize, but for the most part, I like to stay in my room and just work on little projects. That's like one of my hobbies. Like I love listening to podcasts and just learning. I love to learn. So I just took all the time I could to learn more.
You hear that,
So
everybody? Take
yeah,
time to invest. No, really. This is the time to take the time to invest in yourself.
yeah,
Because when you're forced to not do anything that like, I guess I should say forced out of your normal routine, it's going to be a fight or flight. It's going to be a figure it out or shut down. And it sounds like you figured it out, which is awesome. For me, it was getting my podcast back up because before this, that's where like in the beginning, I'm just not doing anything. I was like, how did I fit all this stuff in? Because now I just don't want to do anything, and now I'm back to fitting all this stuff in again.
Oh,
So,
I had those moments too. There were a couple of weeks where I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna lay here. Like I just don't want to do anything right now. Like I guess I exhausted myself a little bit, so I was like,
okay.
let me give me some time to
Rejuvenate and reflect.
yeah, recoup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
do you miss live performances?
I do. I do. I was supposed to do some performances prior to everything shutting down. I did the tour, but I was supposed to do. I had a couple other shows that were on deck, and they had to be canceled. And it
Mm.
was, it sucked because I really wanted to do those shows. It was more so in my element. It's interesting, like my fan base. Like I love my fan base. It's a mixed bag. It's a lot of actually most of my fans are straight.
Okay.
So yeah, that's always been kind of interesting. But more and more, I'm starting to get more queer fans, which is cool, and I love that mix because I want to, with my music, I want to create that conversation, and that I want to bring people together. You know, I don't want me being queer to be like a divisive, you know, thing. It's just a part of who I am, but it doesn't define
Absolutely.
everything that I am.
So then when you talk about your fan base at the time being predominantly straight, was this also for the live show circuit, or was it like predominantly for just when they're downloading or purchasing the music? Because that's different. Those are two different platforms.
Right. Um, you know what? It was mostly, I believe anyway, I believe it was mostly, straight, heterosexual. Like I have mostly like heterosexual males are like mostly my fan base.
Okay.
But there were sprinkles of, I think when I do shows with my mentor and other folks, I think me being a part of the tour brings more. That I do notice they're more like queer.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, um,
Nice.
yeah. So that's always nice to see because I go to shows thinking, no, I'm gonna be like I'm just gonna be the only queer person in the room, like, and
I'm gonna
then
be that only minority part.
right, and then suddenly, yeah, I don't know who's ringing on my doorbell. Sorry, but
That's okay.
yeah, I'm always surprised. There's always, a few queer folks in the room, and it's great. I would love to see more of that because I think the shows that I mostly do are, even though I'm an R&B artist,
Yeah.
uh, a lot of the headliners are hip hop artists. So it's just nice
But
to see.
hip hop more towards cis hetero crowd, because this is the thing, and this is East Coast that you're going to educate me on now. When
Yeah.
do you have venues that mix it up, or do you find in the music industry within the area that you live it segregates between straight and queer?
Um,
Because it segregates here in Sacramento.
no, they don't necessarily segregate
Okay.
here. I like I said, it can be a mixed bag, especially the last show I did. I live in a section of Brooklyn called Bushwick, and it's always like a nice mixed crowd because there are a lot of queer people in this area. So the last show I did before everything shut down was here in Bushwick at a spot called Elsewhere, and that was very mixed. There were a lot of queer people in the audience. It was
Nice.
great. Yeah. So I love that. It did. I think it also depends on what kind of hip hop you do. Like,
Okay.
um, the people that I perform with, they do a lot of jazz, hip hop, fusion.
Ooh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, and
Ooh,
they're
that's nice.
yeah.
I would love
So
to see that.
yeah, it's awesome. And so a lot of our fan base are they're nerds, blurs, people that are in the
Wait, wait,
anime.
wait, wait. Back up, back up. What's a blurred?
A blurred is a black nerd.
Oh my. Okay. That's awesome. A blurred. Okay.
Yes. So,
All right. I just
so
learned another thing. Okay.
yeah. Oh, mom
But
said,
why nerds? Why nerds?
why nerds?
Yeah.
Because I think at one point, if you were a nerd and you were a person of color, that was kind of you were outed. It was almost like being
Gay.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was almost like being gay. You're put in the same. You are a marginalized group. You know, especially like growing up where I grew up, if you were a nerd, you could get beat up. You know, you
Oh,
could get jumped at any point in time. So I think, you know, the advent and invention of the creation of the blurred, it has become, you know, a very I don't want to say a popular thing, but it's a growing, like it's a growing community.
that's good. The
And
acknowledgement so that you're not alone. There's many of them out there and they can all celebrate them.
right.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. Like, I mean, they have, you know, conventions now that are, you know, they have BlurredCon.
Blurred
That
con.
BlurredCon. Yep.
Look at me learning all these new things. Blurred con. Believe me, it was just 2 weeks ago. As I'm constantly watching all of the things that I can stream, I got into video game. You're bringing up nerds. Video game documentaries, and it's called The Cubers or Cube something. And it was a documentary focusing on two young men who were in these championship Rubik's Cube competitions,
Oh wow.
which I had no idea they existed to this day. And and they focus on one young man who happens to be autistic, and his family, his mom found something he flourished at, and then another person. And these kids have been pros at this for years, and we're talking they can solve it in under 6 seconds, sometimes under 4 seconds.
That's insane.
And then they'll have the Rubik's that have 4 and 5 sides, not just the 3, like, you know. So it doesn't surprise me to know that they have one, other than I'm like, blurred, cool. But, you know, yeah. It does help. I think it helps to have conventions like that, to where you have a safe space to be you,
Right.
to learn that you're not by yourself, to learn that it's an awesome thing, you know, celebrating that the part that makes you uniquely you,
Yeah.
you know. And then to segue into it for you, are you very open with your fan base in as far as your own personal journey?
I believe. Well, I believe I'm beginning to be more open with my fan base. I think at one point I was, because, like I said, I'm a loner. There are a lot of times where I don't take the opportunity um, to open up to them and really show them a side of my life that they could connect to. And I had to really think about that. I was, you know, they connect with me when we're doing shows and I get to talk to them and really connect them with them, you know, face to face. But when we're mostly in the realm of social media, so I was
Right.
like, I need that to translate onto, you know, these social media platforms. And I really thought about that. I was like, this is an opportunity for me to open up and really talk to my fan base and really show them, okay, this is my life. This is what I do outside of music. And I'm just a regular person, man. Like I go out, I eat, I love food. So, you know, I'm constantly going out to bars and restaurants, and, you know, New York is great for that. And
So I've
you
heard,
know,
and as soon as everything opens back up, I'm planning on visiting because I have too many friends over there in the Boston and New York and area, and Brooklyn even, and all that I would love to visit and take all that in.
yeah.
Yeah.
Come through. I'll show you plenty of places.
Heck yeah.
I know some good spots, man.
Don't be surprised if you hear a knocking, it's me. I'll take you up on it. So then, okay, and going a little bit deeper into the whole how we all identify, because that has been on the forefront, at least in social media and in politics and everything else, in the last few years. I mean, like I just shared an article because for trans folk, those transitioning over, they already have so many obstacles, and now this next one is being able to vote because they don't identify with the gender they have yet to update their ID, right? The government issue ID. I mean, even for me, you know, you hear my voice and automatically people will, okay, she's a girl. But as a Lyft driver, and my hair's getting long, it usually is shorter. When I'm driving and it's dark, and especially here in Sacramento, I get the occasional sir, usually from a guy, before they hear me talk. And I'm not in any way offended because I know that it's not personal and it's not an attack. They literally, how their upbringing is. Remember, we discussed that off camera. It's like the upbringing of that whole, they just want to see like a left and a right and up and a down and a back and a forth, not these different layers. And until they hear me speak, and then sometimes they'll apologize. And I say, hey, no even worries, because to me, I know that was their learning moment. I'll let them absorb it. We'll move on to the next conversation. So it's not this awkward 7-minute drive or whatever it is in the car, but for me, I would have people ask me on occasion how I identify, and I take it as a moment of they're asking. So I'm going to share with them. I do use her and she, but I also don't feel myself as that social construct of what they feel women are, because I love being more androgynous than anything. But for you, your path is somewhat a little bit deeper. So have you had to have those conversations where someone might have asked you or mislabeled you in a sense? I guess I don't even want to use the word label, but maybe you've called you something other than she or her or however you identify?
Every day of my life.
Yeah.
Every day of my life.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm at work. It's a lot less now because initially with my job, I dealt with the traveling public more so. And so when I had those interactions, it was constantly, oh, it's nice, nice to see you, sir. And it was just like, even people that would see me every day, it was like, no, I'm a female. And I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry. Or, I'd either get that or I'd get the, oh, whatever. Like, and when I get those kind of responses, it's like, no, you're going to acknowledge me as a female. Like I step right in front of them or, more firmly, no, you're going to respect me. So, I have to have those positions every now and then, but for the most part, it's usually a very friendly interaction when they're like, oh, I'm sorry. It's like, no, it's fine. I know what I look like. I know that, I have masculine presenting features. My voice is deep. I actually grow a beard. I grow a full beard. I don't know if you can see a little bit of the.
No, I do. Some of your photos showed that. Is that natural or is it enhanced or wow? Okay.
No, it's natural.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't have to take any kind of testosterone or anything like that. I have a condition that causes me to grow facial hair more. So I have a lot of like physical masculine features.
Okay.
So I'm okay with explaining, what's happening, or I'm pretty much an open book when it comes to that sort of thing. But I've had people, ask me, oh, are you transitioning now? And it's like, no.
But at least they're asking.
Yeah.
And you can tell if they're asking, depending on, I guess, because you only would know this, if they're asking it because they are interested, or if they're asking because they now are going to have this conversation with you that might not go so well. But I tell you, it's going to be past our generations before that isn't going to be on the table every day, Right. I mean, society has just decided we know this, even though science has proven that trans, non-binary, just because because people are born with both sexes and no sexes. Sometimes it's being inherently male and female, which is sex and organs, does not always equate to how you identify. And that's the part we're working so hard for it to be accepted, because it has to go past these conversations like you're having at work or I'm having in the car as a Lyft driver. It has to be instilled in schools. It has to be instilled in preschool. It has to be instilled with babysitting. It has to be instilled social gatherings and I'm talking with children, right? Because us old dogs that aren't on the board with that's if they choose not to, they can choose not to. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist, and it's the young ones. And I tell adults all the time, you think your kid doesn't know, you're not talking to your kid, then you're in denial. Children know, so especially before the shutdown and kids having to do the homeschool. I would learn from my own kid, because my kid's going to be 25 next month.
Oh, wow.
And I would ask on occasion, and I would ask, other friends with kids. They already had friends non-binary, bi and gay and queer from middle school. Some of them even 6th and 5th grade. They just don't talk about it with the parents because they get the feeling the parent wouldn't understand, or maybe they'd be scared. So to me, that's where it has to start. It has to be that, teach when children introduce themselves, use your pronoun. Start there.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
You got to teach. It's a teachable moment every time. And it'll get exhausting. I'm sure you must be exhausted having to explain it. Right? Like,
I mean, not so much because I I take the time to tell myself like, hey, you're gonna meet different people from different walks of life, and you don't know what their journey has been. So
right.
if they have that question, even if it comes off a little offensive,
Yeah.
You let them know like, okay, this is my perspective. This is how I see how things are going or what have you. And a lot of times, like if you me just being myself is a teachable moment.
Yeah. That's true.
People take so much from just getting to know you. I've met so many people that were initially homophobic, and then they met me, and we would form a friendship or a bond, and they would tell me, you've changed my life so much just by being you.
Oh, that's incredible. Look
I
at
see.
you.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And you know what it does take? It does take that. It's an unlearning, relearning process that can only happen through life skills. That's it, right? So that's good though. I mean, that must feel good.
It does. It does. Because I
Great.
feel like you're making the world a better place. It sounds cliche, but it's true. Like you're making the
You
world a
are,
better.
Stephanie. You're making the world a much better place. And then it goes even before that because it goes, and here goes my mind again with baby showers and gender reveal parties. If we didn't learn anything from that last fiasco of the gender reveal, that we need to stop.
That was awful. I don't know who came up with that idea. Like,
Well, I mean, all of them, because that already puts the construct. Everyone's already talking about it's either boy or girl. Why? Why?
I never
Can we get rid of that? Like,
Yeah.
just because it kept going on doesn't mean it's got to continue.
Right.
I mean, and
Could we just
It's a
worry
s-
about having a healthy baby? How about that?
can we celebrate after the fact that it had 10 fingers, 10 toes, both eyes? Whatever, no serious health issues that they have to go and get like 5 surgeries in the first 2 years. Yeah, I mean, as a mom, I mean, because I came out late as far as being queer because I identify as lesbian, but that didn't happen until I was 29, and I was in a relationship with a man for 11 years, and we were married and had a kid the natural way, and so I remember the only things we ever worried about, and especially me carrying her, was, will she have all 10 fingers and 10 toes? Will she be born blind? Well, and I try not to stress over it, but those were the things in fact, we didn't even want to know the gender. We picked out names for both because we were raised. You got to pick a name. You do.
Yeah.
So that you have an ID and you have a social security, and unfortunately and that's another thing that's got to eventually change. But in documentation, you can put the sex, but as the child grows up, raising that child to let them say he or her when the time comes and expose them to that knowledge and that education and that community, everybody, not just the little community that's outside your front door. And I think it's a learning experience for parents growing up with their children. It isn't just you learn from me, I'm your parent, and you just pay attention. I mean, was that like for you growing up? I mean, did you know right off the bat?
I knew early on that
Okay.
I definitely knew early on. Pretty much as soon as I was conscious of my own like existence, I knew I was different. I from an early age, maybe like 3 or 4 years old, I knew that I was attracted to girls. I don't know.
Did you
something
ever like act on that, like try to buy presents for them, or try, you were more into wanting to compliment them like from an early age? Were you pretty bold with that, or
Yeah.
were you just kind of like, I'll just be your best friend? Yeah, I'm your best friend. I've been through that.
No, I was
Not
pretty
knowing.
no, I was pretty bold.
Okay.
And my mother's watching right now, so I know I'm gonna hear about
Hi, Mom.
I know I'm gonna hear about this afterwards. She's gonna call me. When I was younger, my mom had this. This is probably gonna be new for her too. But when I
Mom,
was
grab that wine, have a seat, take a breath.
when I was younger, my mom had this vase full of like fake roses in the basement, and I would sneak before she would take me to daycare and the school. I would take a fake rose from the vase, and there was a girl that I liked. Actually, she was my bully
Oh,
first, and then I started giving her roses, and she started to like me. So,
wait, how old are you?
uh,
Because you're saying daycare.
like 4 or 5 years old,
Oh my
maybe
gosh.
five. I think I was five.
Okay, you were already romantic playa status. Maybe
Yeah,
not even playa, but romantic at 4.
yeah,
You go. That's. I mean, that's. I mean, in a. That's incredible. 4 years old and you're already bringing roses to a girl.
yeah,
Wow. I
yeah.
came out so late. I just became best friends with women, not knowing that I had this love for them because I never
Mhm.
acted on it. I just, these feelings I had, I figured we just connected because we were best friends, not knowing it was. And I never asked myself why I didn't connect like that with guys ever.
Right.
I'd always be that first friend to cry your shoulder on or go experience something new, like at the mall, buying up anything. I always cherished those one on one with my female friends, and just not because I wasn't raised that was an option.
Yeah.
I was half Filipino, full Filipino culture. You better be in line to get. You're never going to get a husband if you keep riding BMX bikes. You're never going to get a husband. You keep riding skateboard like that. You keep playing football like that. And I thought maybe that was the whole goal. Maybe I want to be the husband, but it was never presented to me like that because I was
Right.
I was quite the star athlete. I did martial arts. I loved racing bikes and jumping like jumps with my skateboards and doing tricks. Not that that's a gay thing because
Right.
girls that aren't gay do it too.
Right.
And which is also but being told that it wasn't going to get me the husband was where I focused on I'm going to prove them wrong and get the husband. And boy, I proved them wrong, and then I proved myself wrong because I got the husband.
Right.
And so, but man, good for you though to recognize that in yourself and to value yourself on that level.
You
You
know what?
know?
I did, but there were moments when I was younger where I was because my mom is religious, and I grew up in even though like with my mom it was interesting because even though she was religious, she didn't like fully push religion on me. She always gave me space to make my own decision in regards to my faith. But I had moments where I was heavily religious, and I would get on my knees and I'd be like, "Please don't make me gay. Why am I this way? Why am
Oh,
I gay? Like, please
yeah.
take it away." And then at a certain point, as I grew, I realized like this is who I am. Like, embrace that. Embrace it. You're not going to be comfortable in this heteronormative, construct. It's just not going to work for you. You know it's not going to work for you. You don't like skirts or dresses.
I
Um,
hate skirts and dresses. Oh, I hate them. I feel you. I was forced to wear a skirt every day in 7th grade, and it was the worst year of my life.
yeah,
Every day.
yeah. At one point I made a pact with my mother to wear a skirt at least twice a week. This
Oh,
was in
geez.
high school. Yeah,
Mm.
and
Mm-mm-mm.
yeah,
I
that
know,
didn't,
right?
that didn't last too long, but
Well, then, so fast forwarding into music for you, did that transition as far as when you were embracing, did you find that you could maybe express yourself through music on who you are?
I did.
Or was it more like you didn't have to think about it and you can just focus on the art and just be a singer, be an R&B artist, be a lyricist, however you identified with your music at the time?
Um, I think over time it became, I think, easier because I did at one point write songs that were directed towards guys or men, like a woman singing to a man or singing about a man, and over time I was just like, I'm in this space where I can do whatever I want, so I want to write about my love life and, how I see the world and how I see women, and how I'm attracted to them. So I was like, do it. So I just did it. It was just a decision that I made to just
And how old were you when you had that
wow.
aha moment?
Um, probably once I moved to New York,
Okay.
probably, yeah, 18, 19 years old. Once I moved here, it was because I felt I felt more freedom being here. I lived in the village when I first moved here. So being immersed in that community and that life, helped me to see the possibilities. So once I made that decision, hey, you're gonna write whatever you want.
Yeah.
I went full throttle
Look
with
at you. Yes.
it.
So good. So yeah, I
Yeah,
tell you, I don't know about you, but for me, every 90s boy band, that was my secret weapon to be them singing to the girls. So putting that music out is helpful because
yeah,
I'm Shania Twain don't know what I'm talking about. She can't feel me. I mean, love me some Whitney, she can't feel me. Like,
yeah,
no, but when they're singing about getting the girl, I was like, okay, I can get. And then they're all the cool, funky dance moves. Yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah. I'm just
yeah.
feeling myself. So it's that, yeah, it's that escape. It's that escape through music and lyrically also, and the direction the song is going. You're right.
Right. Yeah.
That was that weird for you to sing about guys when you did it.
Um,
Did you feel sort of like you were in a dress, like in like music drag?
you know what? There were a couple of songs where it didn't it didn't feel uncomfortable because I guess that was the kind of the phase that I was in at the time, where I was like, oh, I like this guy, or he's cute. Let me write this song about him, and
Okay, so they were honest.
I would let my imagination just kind of take over, and so I don't think it was with some songs it wasn't it wasn't uncomfortable, but then there were others where it was like, okay, I feel like I'm forcing it, like this is this is not where I am, like, mentally. So I just, yeah, I have more experience with women. My attraction to them is stronger. So let me write in a space where I'm more comfortable. So yeah.
So it almost sounds like your music has been your own diary of your life in a sense, from all of
Yeah.
your learning journey and your transitioning journey into being more honest with yourself and being more accepting of yourself.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I would say more recently. I think with my first album, the EP that I came out with in 2012 under my former name, that one was called the Sapphic Soul EP. There were little hints, like I did write songs about women, but there were certain moments where I would write about just things happening internally. It wasn't necessarily about women, but it was like kind of middle of the road kind of music. And then when Songs About Me came out, I was like, nope, this is I'm opening the door wide open, like you know,
Here come the floodgates.
right.
Oh yeah. No, that's good. And you probably felt liberated at that point though, yeah?
I did, I did.
Like
It felt great.
110%.
Yeah.
So then, okay, so now as we're hitting into October, we're
Mhm.
6 months in this quarantine. Do you see where do you see you as an artist to the end of the year, and where do you possibly see, at least within your community of music, it opening back up again, and people can possibly enjoy that in-person vibe? Like, I feel like that'll even change the construct of how people present themselves, because we've only been doing this for like 6 months with people. There
Right.
hasn't been that energy exchange of in-person performances, you know?
I believe we'll get back to in-person performances within the next year, especially with, excuse me, the push for these vaccines. There's so many trials going on right now. I was listening to the news today, like I think there are three in China, there are a couple in the UK,
Yeah.
they're doing trials here, and I believe a couple in Canada as well. So, I believe, within the next year, I don't think it will ever be the same as it was before. However, I do feel like we'll get back to a place where we'll be able to congregate and celebrate and, enjoy live music again. So, I mean, even if we're doing this kind of, platform where we're, performing online. I mean, I'm coming up with ideas, I'm coming up with ideas to kind of make that more of a normal thing. Like I want to do a concert for my holiday EP once I release it.
Oh, you should.
Yeah. So I'm
hopefully, whether I know you should, whether in person or online, but you should.
Yeah. So I mean, either way, whether we get back to that place or not, I'd want to do something online because I think it's a cool opportunity for more of my fans and audience to see me.
That has been the positive, is that you can reach far more people.
Yeah.
For sure. If you're not a touring, and doing like 50 shows across the U.S., you definitely are reaching a lot more vast. I mean, I'm taking it. Did your fan base like grow in different directions, being able to focus more of being online once you've revamped like your website and your socials and that kind of thing?
It did actually. I was watching my numbers like steadily go up as I was revamping and changing certain courses especially with my Instagram, because I'm probably the most active on Instagram. But I was changing my feed and putting, just becoming more personable with my fans and the audience out there, and just putting more music related posts and then putting more of my personal content in my stories for the fans that are engaged. And I've seen way more engagement.
Good.
Results of it. So
that's good. That's positive. So then in my last question to you, in wrapping this up, especially as an artist, a Black queer artist, do you have maybe some advice you would like to share for other artists who are either up and coming, or maybe they're teetering on the fence of if they should continue because of the shutdown? Like, what would you say to them?
I would say continue to be creative. Don't worry about what the results will be. Just do what you love. Have fun with it. Do the research and figure out how you can be more creative with your music and your brand, and really just the fans that you do have, just tap into them, really engage with them, talk to them, like open up, just be yourself, have fun. Don't worry about what the consequences will be, because most likely it'll be positive. But just have fun with it. Don't worry about
solid advice.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then, so for people to find you, I'm showing your page right now, because you use a link tree, correct?
Yes, I use Linktree. Yeah.
So do I, because I'm floating in between I'm on the verge of getting my website done, but I've noticed, so this is your Linktree. Folks watching and those listening, Linktree is like the most amazing site, because it just does you quick clicks to anything you have that you're trying to promote. So like right here, you've got all your music streaming platforms in one link. Perfect. Yeah. All of your social media. Look at that. Official website, mailing list.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even your press.
And that's what I was doing during the quarantine. I was like, let me try to find like a better way to get people, connected to, my different sites. So I use two things. I actually use Linktree, and when you go to the streaming sites and the social media platforms, I use Smart URL.
I saw that too. I was contemplating that even, because I don't know quite well how that works, but I meant for like with my podcast, because I have this streaming on for video, but then afterwards I edit it and then it goes onto 10 separate audio platforms. So I thought maybe I saw that on yours and I thought I've seen people use that smart URL and I'm thinking, I wonder if I should embark on that as I build my repertoire with the videos and the links for the audio, because I like that a lot, because I'm thinking it's my link tree is getting a little too long because I've got all these separates and I've got to kind of I got to kind of reel it in. So yeah, awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me. I can't believe an hour has gone by like that quick.
I know, that's insane.
And so, everyone, and I got the link on the banner below. Please follow Stephanie. She's amazing. Her music is incredible. You've got this holiday album coming out. We're like fingertips, waiting on that. And enjoy the rest of your day and have a really good weekend.
You too.
Thank you. This is Myki Angeline with the Bad Filipino signing off. Everyone, have a great